Well, yeah. I think the reduced capacity to learn is actually more the dominant culture's ability to learn and to learn new things outside of their own cultural experience. It could be seen, and it can be seen, or a lot of people understand that Aboriginal people are struggling in mainstream education until they reach the stage where they actually can speak mainstream English very well. And if Australia would just get over the fact that Aboriginal people don't speak English as a first language, even many Aboriginal people across Australia speak an Aboriginal form of English. It's a different language, it's not mainstream English. So the reason why Aboriginal people are struggling in education facilities everywhere is because language is not taken seriously. The same with people coming out of Papua New Guinea. They come to Australia and they fail and they go back. They fail in tertiary education, they go back to be rascals on the street because they've sort of failed their one big opportunity in life. That's the same thing that's now happening on Aboriginal communities all over Australia. The government is spending millions in sponsorship. Private companies and organisations are spending millions in sponsorship, sponsoring kids to go to high school and to other institutions. Yet none of those institutions takes language seriously. And when you look at language, why is language the issue? Well, you think and you encode information in the language you think in, right, in your first language. And most Aboriginal people who are not mainstream English speakers are speaking in their first language and thinking in their first language. And if you take a Yungamata, for instance, European languages have been working together for over 2,000 years. 2,000, maybe 4,000 years. English and Chinese and Japanese been working together for 400 years. English and Pacific Island languages, there's been a relationship between those languages for 180 years. English and Yungamata, well, it's about 80 years. Virtually no government spending on dictionary development, everything else like that. So Chinese students can come straight out of China. They can go to any university or learning institution in Australia. If they have a problem with an English word, in minutes they can look up over 32,000 Chinese to English or English to Chinese words for that student to be able to go, okay, I understand what's being talked about, and move on in the conversation. For Aboriginal people, or the first Australians who speak their Australian language or speak a form of English in the way of an Aboriginal English, they have no hope in these institutions because no such dictionaries exist. I remember a young student here, Spanish student, came to Nhulunbuy, and I was talking to her and I said, how do you cope? English is your what? And she said, I think she said it was third or fourth language. So how do you cope with English? She says, oh, I've got a good dictionary. And so I said to her, how many times do you use that Spanish to English dictionary a day? And she says, oh, it'd be at least once a day and sometimes there's more than that. And I said, do you know there's all those other Yolngu kids that go to school there at the Nhulunbuy High School? They don't have a dictionary? And she said, how can they cope? I said, they don't. They drop out, they go off to be drug addicts and go to the local pub as soon as they possibly can. We are schooling them to fail because the mainstream Australian community cannot get it in their head that language is really important. If Aboriginal people were learning in their first language, they'd be way outrunning most mainstream people. Let me give you an example of that. One of the first public examinations that were ever taken in Australia, first public examination when the colony was just open, was won by a 14-year-old Aboriginal lady. It was widely acclaimed. Everybody was shocked that she won the public examination, the first public examination in Australia, 14-year-old Aboriginal woman. So their ability to learn, and some might say, well, how did she learn so well back then? I don't know, she must have been exceptional. must have been exceptional, because everything would have been against her. Yet people's ability to learn and to innovate and everything else, Aboriginal people are as good, or if not better, than mainstream. I know the people I've taught over the 45 years have excelled as well, if not sometimes above the other students that I've had, like apprentices and so forth, in English. So I don't think there's any problem with them, their ability to learn. The problem is the mainstream's ability to learn, to take language seriously and allow the same opportunities to exist.